GoodDoctors.Health, and today we are going to be talking about biohacking. Specifically, this episode is called Before You BioHack. Now, for those of you from different parts of this country, biohacking has become something that's really commonplace. There's a lot of it going on. And specifically when I'm talking about biohacking, I'm kind of getting into the world of like IV therapy and cryotherapy, red light therapy. Obviously, there's sauna, so the hot, cold plunge, all of those waves. Now, then you can get really specific when you're getting into some of the stem cells and the peptides, and of course, the hormones are usually part of that world. I mean, we have clinics here in our, I'm just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. We've got clinics that are doing TPE, therapeutic plasma exchange, which is way cool stuff. I mean, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot in the category of what's considered biohacking. Now, some of you, this is old school. You guys know all about this. And then like I said, some regions of the country, this is still kind of new. This is, some people, are still kind of, warming up to the idea of IV therapy. So just depending on where you're at and what region you're in, and, it will dictate even how much accessibility and viability you have for this. Now, when we're talking about biohacking, the people that I work with, they are amazing people who are busy changing the world. And they have incredible lives. And in general, they're people who, are about getting things done. And so biohacking's become a really big topic for a lot of the people that I'm working with. And rightfully so, because these people, they want to be their absolute best. They need that, all the energy that they can get. There's something to be said about, when you live such an incredible life and you're go, like the idea of having that extra gear of energy, like from 7 to 9 p.m. Like that, like where you're not tired just because it's evening. When you have like that extra oomph of clarity so that you can just think through problems faster, you can solve issues, just that matters. That really matters, and it leads to your overall quality of life. And that's one of the things that whenever we're talking about biohacking, that's why these individuals are so, want to really know, what do I need to do? Is this something that's right for me? And will it get me the results that I'm looking for? So that's kind of what I want to talk about. So again, a lot of the individuals who I'm working with on a really consistent basis, they're living such full lives, but they also run themselves into the ground. Now, when we're talking about that, and you want to have these extra gears, extra layers of energy and all of that, which, by the way, I will say, like when we're talking about biohacking, there's just a lot of questions. Again, some of you are from regions of the country or regions of the world where you have so much access to this. This has been this is just old school. Some of you, this is really new. So by all means, by the time I get done, I'll be checking the chat. I'll be looking into if you have any questions about biohacking or want to know more. I'm happy to get into that. So with regards to but really what I'm getting into is before you biohack. You need to understand something, that it really does come down to the fundamentals. Look at biohacking like the cherry on top. Okay, biohacking is the thing that is like this wow factor when you're doing so many other things right. Then you add biohacking, it's amazing. And I'm going to tell you my quick. IV therapy is like my go juice. It gives me a complete and total other gear when I am getting regular IV therapy. Now here's the thing though, I've had tons and tons of people that I've sent for IV therapy or recommended it to, and they're like, yeah, I think I felt something, maybe not, maybe did. Well, here's one of the biggest differences with regards to things like IV therapy. Because I'm doing all these other things, when you add some IV therapy there at the end, it's amazing. But let me be straight, IV therapy is not going to compensate for a bad diet. IV therapy isn't going to compensate for not getting enough exercise. If you're not doing the fundamentals, it's not a miracle it's like this extra addition that takes you to a whole other level. Now, for people who have lived intense lives and they do a whole lot, right? I mean, you are running start up to start down. I mean, your days are intense, okay? For those of you who live that kind of life, having that extra layer of nutrients is absolutely huge. It is. But it's only if you're already giving it the raw foundation of a good daily diet. Because, I mean, again, we're not going to go and get IV therapy multiple times a day, every day of the week. That's just not how it's going to work for you. So, and when we get into red light and all that, I'll get into some of that all in here in just a second. But the first and foremost, you have to have this incredible foundation of a good physiological health, all right? So, and that's where I really do prefer to do the blood work. And most of the places that are like the high level places that are doing biohacking, they really encourage you to get your blood work done so we know what you're deficient in before they recommend which IVs or whatever therapies, from hormones to everything. Almost all of these places are doing the blood work to show you what your body's asking for. So then you can get the fullness of your results and your investment when we're talking about biohacking. So let's kind of get into a few of my favorites as far as like some of the different things that I'm just seeing such great results with. So one of the big ones, that's come out, and this is so common now, red light therapy. Red light therapy has just been, now, I mean, you see the red light masks, there's red light, things that you can put around your shoulders, on your back. It is incredible how much red light therapy has really hit. And I will say, especially like these huge red light panels and these red light beds, wow, like I have to say that has been like the calming, meditative experience. Like, and you go in like these, if you haven't seen them, the ones I've been in, they look like tanning beds. And I mean, you go in, you lay down, it obviously doesn't have the UV like tanning beds, but it looks like one. And I have come out of those things just feeling so refreshed and so revived. It is really an incredible experience. Now, I know that obviously you can get these panels and you can order all these different things, but it really is amazing. Keep in mind, it's not going to be an alternative to it's not going to be an alternative to just good mental health practices, all right? If you're constantly stressing yourself out and you're just running this insane schedule and you're pushing yourself all the time, you may not get everything. You may not get the full therapeutic benefit of red light, but when you're doing all of those other things, that's when this is just so incredible. So I've been a huge fan of that. Obviously, like there's the hot cold plunge. I mean, that's been around for centuries, the hot and cold. I mean, people in Scandinavian countries have been doing that for centuries. The sauna and then the cold plunge. And there's so much evidence how that has absolutely been working. And again, I'm a huge fan of what that does for overall longevity. It definitely, it works on your tissues, the inflammation, love it. My biggest thing that when individuals are doing any of this stuff, and let's talk about hormones just briefly. When people are doing hormone therapies and they're like expecting the hormones to just fix everything. So I'm not gonna, they're still not exercising right, they're still not eating right, they're not supplementing what their body is asking for with regards to supplementation. Okay, what most people who I've been working with, they're like, yeah, it worked a little bit, but then but then I still have all these problems. Well, the reason is we're not addressing the foundation. We're not addressing the fundamentals. And that's a little bit of my criticism for individuals who are wanting to use like these biohacking as like, it's basically they're just trying to cover up their bad lifestyle decisions. That's my number one criticism of medications. The medications are just masking the issue. Well, you can use biohacking the same way. And that's why I'm getting into this and talking about, before you biohack, consider really maxing out your potential for what can be done with the fundamentals: diet, lifestyle, food, exercise, and the essential supplementation. And again, I'm always looking at, utilizing your biodata to indicate which of the biohacking is going to give you the most therapeutic benefit. Again, this stuff, it takes resources. Biohacking isn't cheap. It's definitely going to pull. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely, I think it's worth it if you have that amazing, fantastic foundation. So that's just where I want to go from there. Now, for those of you, as far as like this particular, like the community of health, it is really a good idea to start looking into and talking about as a community, as with your friends, your coworkers. Right, there's been this Netflix series called Don't Die, and he gets a lot into this, and I'm not for or against, pro or con, really a lot of the different things that he gets into in that particular series. He definitely gets into a lot of the more far-reaching stuff. He definitely does some of the red light and definitely exercises, supplements. He definitely does all that. But one of the key things I want to point out, though, he is doing all those fundamentals, and a lot of individuals are just trying to skip that step, and they want to go straight to make me young, make me feel better. So here's what I'm going to just encourage you. Here's just what I'm going to encourage you all with regards to biohacking. If this is something that you are really looking into, do your research and understand exactly what are you trying to accomplish with all of this, and then go through and make sure you're doing the absolute fundamentals. Fair enough? So as we're going through this particular series, we are going to be hitting on so many of the different things that build up your momentum as you're coming in to the new year. All right. So what I want you to do as a community is just continue to open up the conversation of what it is that's going to make the biggest difference for you. So, well, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed rest of your day. And if there are any questions, put them in the comments, and we will be talking soon enough. See you tomorrow.